So Wilderness Union really exists to help you find adventures and build community. When I moved to Toronto 12 years ago, I wanted something like this to exist and it didn't. I was going to the meetups and finding like the quality was just a bit like it was a bit hit and miss. And nothing really existed for people like around my age, and were doing interesting things. Like I didn't just want to walk the Bruce Trail or hike in Algonquin. And so I kind of figured out how to solve that for myself and then started thinking, well, you know what, maybe other people in Toronto have the same issue. And it turns out that a lot of people do, hence all of you guys being here tonight. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about who the community is. We use that word a lot, and also give you a better sense of our adventures and how the whole thing works. So, to your question, Veronica, like how you sign up and what happens when you do, and how our membership model works. One of the more unique things about Wilderness Union. Obviously, we'll make sure we've got time for some questions and answers as well. Okay, so just very briefly, from the top, kind of what is Wilderness Union? So we're a little different to anything else out there, as you might have seen. So, we have this membership model, and really what we're trying to do is give you everything that you need to get into the wild. Because it's not enough just to go on trips, but like so many of you said, you're looking for your people to go out and do that with. And often this is a bit of a journey. Like you need to kind of get the experience to feel comfortable doing that. And over time, you're going to want to do different things and figure out how to do that yourself as well. And so that's what we try and provide. So everything from the adventures, and towards that end, we're fully insured. We have professional guides, and we do these really unique trips that you can't find anywhere else. But I keep mentioning the word community, and that's because so much of what we do is based around the group of people who come. And so often people come with pretty similar reasons and similar values and goals, which isn't always the easiest to find when you live in the city. And what we find is that very quickly, people go from knowing nobody to having a whole new friend group through Wilderness Union. And then we also offer a lot more than just the trips themselves. So we have really regular socials. We have all of these different clubs that I'll talk about tonight. We've got a partnership program, and some outdoor education as well. So as I go through this evening, you'll get to go a bit more in depth on some of that. But to tell you a bit more about our community, as I say, like this is one of the more unique things we do. Everybody in our community is between the age of 20 to about 42. And so what we're really trying to do is bring together a group of people who are in a similar stage of life and have similar interests and values. One of the things I find about moving to the city is, people are here because they want to be in the city. And if you're the kind of person who wants to escape that and to be able to get away from a screen and feel a sense of awe and wonder, it's not always the easiest thing to do that or to meet your kind of people. And so I really wanted to create that kind of meeting place to find other people like you. And I think we've done a pretty good job of that. And that's why the people who you meet will become your friends. And in terms of the people in the group, I'd say it's mostly kind of young professionals downtown, but a really diverse group of people, just like Toronto itself. So we've got a fair number of people who are new to Canada, like on the call today. But then we also have a whole load of people who've grown up in the city and maybe have just realized that actually there's a lot more outside that I haven't discovered. And I want to do that. Maybe you got into it during COVID, or maybe you used to be into it and then all of your friends, moved out to the suburbs, had kids, and suddenly you lost your adventure buddies. So we have a lot of that group of people as well. And then a lot of folks who come from more active communities. So whether you've moved from BC or Alberta, or we got a bunch of Indigenous folks in the group who grew up living a really active lifestyle and want to do that in Toronto. And so that's what I mean about being able to bring together people who come from really different backgrounds, but we all kind of share that same passion for getting outside and actually making the most of our weekend and making the most of our lives. So I'll move on now to talk about the adventures themselves. We do over 100 different adventures every year. All of them are meticulously planned. We have really great guides. It's one of the things I think that really differentiates us, because we have quite small trips. So all of our trips cap out at about 18 people, which means it's always small enough that you don't feel overwhelmed. You get to have a conversation with everybody. But it's not so small that you're not meeting new people. So every time you'll get to meet some new people, but get to form really genuine connections with people. We figure out absolutely everything for you. So, you can look at something during the week, decide you want to go click a button, and know that when you turn up, everything's going to have been figured out for you. So from the plan, the maps will have told you all of the gear you need to bring. If it's any gear that you don't have, we will have supplied that for you. And we also have our own transport. For those of you who are outside of Toronto, it might not be such a big deal, but anyone in the city, most of us don't have cars. It's really difficult getting out to the more interesting places. So we've just solved that problem. And then finally, everything we do is a really significant discount on where you could find it elsewhere. So because of our membership model, we're able to offer all of this pretty affordably, because I want this to be able to become part of your lifestyle, and that becomes much easier if it's affordable. So as you might imagine, we do a lot of hiking. We're actually getting to a point in the season where the bugs are getting too bad and it's getting too hot. So actually, as we get into summer, we tend to do a little bit less hiking. But that said, this weekend, we've got a couple going on and we're still doing that fairly frequently. But as it warms up, we switch over to a lot more of the camping and the paddling. So everything we do, we offer a real kind of range, no matter where your skills and ability are. So this weekend, for example, we just had a group of people come back from the Bruce Peninsula, front country camping, really simple, great introduction to it. And, when we're there, we're teaching people how to set up the tents, how to keep your food bear safe, how to start a fire for those who want it. For those who've got a bit more experience, you can kind of choose your own adventure. But throughout the summer, you can start to go on more and more advanced things until you're doing these epic 5-day adventures, which are actually a real physical accomplishment. And so, whether you have a ton of experience and you can jump in right away on those really difficult things, or you want to start and build up your experience, there'll be something for you and we'll help you kind of walk along that path. The other thing I'll just say on the camping is it's also incredibly affordable compared to anything else that I've seen. So a lot of people just kind of make their money back from just joining the camping trips themselves, because if you go away with one of the tripping companies up in Algonquin, you're typically spending something like $600-700 a weekend, and you still got to sort out your transport. So it's another one of the ways that we try and make things really affordable for you. I mentioned paddling. Now it's heating up. We're going to switch to a lot more of that. It gets a bit too hot, gets a bit too buggy to be in the woods, and there's nothing better than escaping that on the water. So we do some things in the city. We typically do a paddle around the islands and on the Humber. But we also offer these really unique day trip wilderness paddles where we will take you out onto the Canadian Shield, often a couple of hours outside of Toronto, and then we'll meet the canoes there, give you a canoeing lesson. So even if you don't have the experience, we'll teach you. But then we'll take you off for this extraordinary experience where we go deep into the backcountry for a day. We'll paddle down rivers where you won't see a single other person, and we'll stop on an island for lunch. You can go for a swim, and then you're back in Toronto by 7 o'clock at night. And this is something I kind of put together this year, which, as far as I've seen, no one else is really able to organize this. So it's a pretty cool experience, and we're going to be doing quite a lot of that this summer. On top of that, we also do a bunch of what I think of as special adventures. So that's anything that doesn't kind of neatly fit into one of the buckets I've already told you. So it's things like day tours. We're going to Prince Edward County in a couple of weeks, where we're going to go to one of the towns there, but then we're going to end up at the beach and go swimming and go for a bit of a hike as well. So combining a few different things. We do foraging and a bunch of outdoor education as well. So, fire starting classes. We've done like knot tying, we've done tree identification. I sometimes lead bird watching walks, that sort of thing. And then also, if there's something that you're into that we don't already do, let us know and we'll try and organize that. So we often do completely new adventures as well. So like in the past, we've done archery and horseback riding and that sort of thing as well. So it's a lot more than just a hiking club. But on the hiking itself, even the hikes we do are pretty unique. So we have what I call these secret adventures, where we'll take you to places that you won't have seen on AllTrails, you won't hear about on BlogTO. And these are places that we know within the group, and we kind of keep it within the group, where often you can hike for a whole day and not see a single person, and they're pretty special places. And so we kind of try and keep it between the group, and then we share it with each other. So those are pretty awesome as well. And just like everything else we do, some of those are pretty simple. Like the shortest hikes we do are maybe 8 kilometers, and pretty much anybody with a decent level of fitness can do it. All the way up to we hiked 60 kilometers in a day a couple of months ago. So no matter your level and what you're interested in, there should be something for you. So on top of the kind of all of the formal adventures we do, there's a bunch of stuff that's part of Wilderness Union that's not so visible when you're on the website, which is about the community as a whole. So we have very regular socials. At least once a month, we all get together for some kind of activity as a group. So we'll go indoor climbing was the last thing we did. We got a group going to one of the late nights at the ROM in a couple of weeks. We have pretty regular parties as well. So like we do a big summer barbecue, we do a big Friendsgiving thing. We did a black tie dinner at the end of the year last year. But also our members themselves organize socials all the time. So one of the things I'll talk about tonight is our private member Discord. And in there, other members are organizing their own stuff. And pretty much every day somebody is saying, well, hey, does someone want to go to this with me as well? So like no matter the day of the week, there will be something for you to do. And hopefully you'll never be bored again. We also offer a whole range of partner discounts. So over time, when I think about kind of creating everything that you need in order to live that more outdoorsy life, one of the things you're going to need to get is the gear for it as well. And so we've ended up partnering with a lot of local companies that sell gear that we like or offer things that we like, and often they offer really big discounts. So we do things at MEC all the time down on Queen Street. We often have education sessions there, and we get a pretty good discount when we're there. And then some of these smaller local clothing companies as well. And like typically these folks offer us between 20 to 40%. And so you can save a lot of money on your outdoor stuff with all of these partner discounts, and also often learn a lot as well. And then we have a whole range of member-led clubs as well. So as part of your membership, you get access to all of these different clubs that the members run. So we have a really active run club, which runs every week on a Thursday. We actually just did a 100-mile relay for Sulphur Springs, which is a big trail race out in Hamilton. We've got a climbing club that meets once a month. We've got a book club meeting once a month. The bike club is actually meeting once a week at the moment. And all of these are completely free, organized by members, just part of your membership. And again, it's just another kind of piece in that outdoorsy lifestyle. And something I'll just mention here is that if it's something you're into that you don't already see, let us know and share it with the group, because chances are we'll be able to set up that group. Like if there's interest among other members, we'll get it organized and we'll start offering it. Before I go on, I know I've just covered a huge amount in a short period of time. Does anyone have any questions about either the adventures or the community and the kind of social aspect of things? No? Okay, great. So we'll talk about membership. Traditionally, the only way you've been able to access our adventures is with a membership. We're actually starting to introduce some public adventures. But with membership, your trips are always less expensive than what the public would pay. Most of our trips are still going to be members only. And it's only with the membership that you get access to our Discord community, all of the kind of community stuff I was just talking about. So the run clubs, the partner discount, the socials. So we offer two types of membership. One is an annual membership that works out as $15 a month. And then we have a quarterly membership that's the equivalent of $25 a month. The quarterly is billed quarterly, the annual is billed annually. With both of those, you get a 1-month free trial. So you can come out to what you want, figure out if Wilderness Union is for you, and if you can cancel at any point during that period. And we'll also give you $25 trip credit towards your first adventure. So we're trying to make it as easy as possible for you to come out to your first trip, because what we see is it's sometimes a bit of a hurdle coming out to your first trip. You might not know what to expect, which is why I do this. But once you have come out, we find people tend to come out all the time, and it becomes kind of a way of life. And so hopefully that makes it as easy as possible. Does anyone have any questions about the membership and how that works? No? Okay. So I'll carry on. I'll just mention where to find us. So I know a lot of people find us from meetup.com, but our home online is Wilderness Union. That's where you apply for membership. It's like a 5-minute process, and I normally can approve memberships pretty quickly. That always has the most recent trips and who's going. And to your question, Veronica, about what happens when you sign up. So you'll be able to see all of our upcoming adventures on the upcoming adventure and event page. It shows you what type of trip it is, and we have standardized pricing for most of this, so you'll always know what you're paying. And when you go into the adventure, you can also see who is coming on that trip. So you get a bunch of information in here. So, what kind of difficulty, what to expect when you're out there. And you can also see all of the other members. So once you start to know people, you know if your friends are going to be there. Once you've registered, so at the moment, you're on a wait list for this weekend. We'll let you know if spots become available. This one is pretty full. But when you are on the trip, you then get access to a really detailed adventure plan that tells you absolutely everything you know, everything you need to know about the trip, including a really detailed packing list, where to go, maps, etc. And you get all of that sent by email to confirm everything as well as a link to our private Discord. So for each of the trips we do, we create a separate channel so you can get chatting to the people who are coming on your adventure, meet your guide, ask any questions. And so we try to do everything we possibly can so that by the time you show up on the day, you've been able to have all of your questions answered, you know what to expect, you feel really well prepared so you can have a great day. We also have an Instagram. If you don't follow us already, do. We often share some educational content on there, pictures from our trips, sometimes give you a bit of a heads up about what's coming up. If you've been on the site recently, you'll see that a lot of our trips fill up pretty quickly. And so we try and give people a bit of a heads up about when it's going to open, so you've got a good chance of joining.